Hello, BookTube. I'm here to do a video that seems to be going around. A lot of people are doing it. I've seen a number, and it's called Literary White Whale. Um, and I wasn't going to do it, but I thought, well, why not? Because there's a few things. There isn't anything that's been taunting me like the idea for this is. It's just there's a various reasons why I haven't read anything. So I figured, well, yeah, why not? I'll do that because it doesn't quite fit in with this. But I've got four, and they're sort of. I don't know if I'm cheating a little bit by doing a series of things, but we'll see. The first one would be James uh, G. Fraser's the Golden Bough, a study in magic and religion. At least that's what was the final title of the 13 volumes that were done. Or he's better known as J.G. Fraser. It is an outdated thing, but it is something that is wonderful text. And I've read two different abridgments of it in the past, and I think I had three miscellaneous volumes, and I've read two of them. Sort of, not the best way to do it, I know, but that's all I had, and I read at least two of them, and I really enjoyed it, and I do want to read this whole thing. I just and the reason why is I've never had a set of it. It was in print up until I think the late 70s or maybe even into the 80s. Macmillan had it. And I just looked before doing this video here. Sorry, the allergies are really bad. I thought I was going to go into a sneezing fit again. I've already abandoned three or four tries at this because of that. But at least sinuses are dried up for the moment, which is a good thing. Where was I? Oh yeah, I looked online and there's a nice set with dust jackets, Macmillan, and it's like £600. So I couldn't afford it in the past, and it looks like I'll never afford it in the future. And again, people I'm sure will say, oh well, you can get it in ebook form. I'm sure you can, but I am not going to sit and read through that much. It would take me a decade because the little bit that I could read at a time for my eye and the issues that I have with ebooks, physical issues. Anyway, so yeah, that's the reason why. It's not that it's taunting me. I've never had a set. I suppose if I did have a set, I'd be looking at it right now and going, yeah, I got to get to that. But I don't. The second one would be Lord of the Rings by J.R. Tolkien, and I've got here a little box set. I read the Hobbit with Mark at Book Time with Elvis in December of last year. Mine went into January. I did not enjoy it. It was not a fun read for me. But I probably will read or start reading Lord of the Rings in December this year with Mark as well, or at least that's the plan. I'm not 100% looking forward to it, but it is something. I'm not a huge fantasy fan, but it is something that I know I'm interested in fantasy, and it is something that I need to rectify because something like that is a hallmark of the genre. So I should really be familiar with it, and hopefully I will occasionally. And that's the sort of reason why I've always put it off because it's fantasy, and I shouldn't. And even now, I don't want to put it off because of the dislike with The Hobbit. If I get through the first book and I dislike it, I probably will not continue. I do admit that. But I'm assured that it's very different in style and writing than The Hobbit because I found The Hobbit too condescending to the reader. So there's that one. The third one, I'm lumping two massive series in together, because they are part of the same thing to a certain extent. And the first one is the first part of it, even though it's in three series, is The Mysteries of London, which was written on the back of basically Eugene Sue's Mysteries of Paris, which I really, really enjoy. I've read that a couple times, an old translation in the past, and reread it in February or March this year. This year, I reread the newer translation, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But there's The Mysteries of London that was done by George W.M. Reynolds. He started it. And Valancourt Press, a few years ago, put out two massive paperbacks that were over 1,000 pages each, I'm quite sure, of, I think it's only the first series of this. So it's like over 2,000 pages for the first series, and I've got to verify that. It's on a shelf and behind a table here, so I can't sort of access it at the moment, and I want to find out whether it is, but I'm pretty sure it's only the first series that Valancourt did. But I do want to read it all the way through, and Reynolds did not continue it right to the end. There were other writers that did this. It was in the Penny Dreadfuls. He went on to write another series that was connected to it called The Mysteries of the Court of London. And I've been gifted 15 of 20 volumes of this limited edition set, which is really nice. It's well made. This is volume 20, and I'm missing a number of volumes. That's the problem. Mysteries of the Court of London. It's the Oxford, privately printed for members of the Oxford Society. This one is $695, but 1,000 copies. But there was several bindings done, and I believe I might still get the last 5, but in different bindings, which would require a rebinding to sort of do everything together. But it's a massive undertaking, taking this part. If I'm right about the Valancourt Press volumes that are 2,000 pages in these two large paperbacks, and that's series 1, so we're talking 6,000 plus pages for The Mysteries of London, and figure out this one 20 times 400 and plus pages each volume. That's clearly 9,000. So it's like we're talking 15,000 plus pages. And I do want to do this because now it's sort of within my grasp to do this. Well, once I get the paperbacks out, I'm hoping. Well, I don't know where I can get the series 2 and 3, other than PDFs, which are going to be difficult. So until I sort of rectify that, if we're talking 5,000 pages to read, 4,000 to 5,000 on PDFs is impossible for me to do because of issues with my eye. The same as like the Golden Bough, it would not be possible for me to do. The 5 of these, I could intersperse them possibly if I couldn't get it, but I believe that I will be getting these, so I would have the Mysteries of the Court of London. So, but yeah, that's, and again, it's only because I've never had the set. Now it's sort of, it's on the horizon of a possibility of me having enough to actually begin to read this, and I would find it really cool to do that, and do it slowly, because I don't think that the writing will be the best, that it would sustain me for very long of a continuous read. Now, the fourth one is going to surprise people very much. And it has surprised me why I haven't read this, but I've just spoken to someone about why I haven't read this, and I think I sort of know why, but it's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. This is the 1818 text, and this is the 1831 text. Oxford World Classes. I have various ones, and yet no, I have not read Frankenstein. I've read. I'm very familiar with the story because I've read a lot of things about it with regards to, uh, well, the story and the background. And I'm very interested in the background of the milieu that it was written in 1816, or at least um, the the beginnings of it in Geneva. I'm very interested in that, and I've been collecting. Like, I've got a whole shelf of books. A lot of them are different versions of Frankenstein, because I've got the Leslie Klinger annotated edition. I'd love to get the Leonard Wolf annotated edition. I've got the sort of manuscript edition, in not a manuscript, but it's somebody who's went back to the time before, or pulling out the stuff that from the manuscript that Percy Bysshe Shelley added, and sort of getting back to the raw material of Mary Shelley. And I think there's another version in there as well, because there's the manuscript version with Percy Bysshe Shelley, and there's it's different from the published version. So there's a lot of different versions here, and that's not the reason why I've done it. I think it was just because I've read so much stuff around it, which I still haven't read enough because I'm so interested in it. But I think I've always put off reading it for some reason, for that reason, if that's some reason. But that will be changing, I believe, next year. I won't spoil anything here, but it's in the works of doing this next year. But I won't say anything more. So yeah, Frankenstein. Most people think I have read it, because I can converse fairly confident of the text, and I just never let on that I haven't read it. But I have not read it. So yeah, those are, if you want to call it, my literary white whales. So anyway, I will leave it there, and thank you, BookTube.